Alright, so I'm finally getting around to doing this. So, like an anti-authoritarian perspective on being sexually liberal. Or as the internet likes to call it, sex positive. Which I think is a really weird term for being sexually liberal. So what does that mean? One of the things that prompts me to make a video like this, so we're talking about, well, because we have all experienced and seen online the bullshit from the authoritarian left, what I call the alt-left. Some people refer to them as social justice warriors. The regressive left. So, to me, they seem to be very puritanical. They seem to be puritanical in some ways and not so puritanical in others. Kind of over the top, but... So, first of all, let me get out of the way that, if, let's say that you are into polygamy, promiscuity, monogamy. I don't have a problem with any of these. I don't. I don't have a problem with polyamorous marriages, relationships. I don't have a problem with people who want to be promiscuous, as long as they understand the risks that they're taking involved and they're held responsible for that. You can't hold everyone else responsible because you've decided to be promiscuous, and I don't think it's right that you hold the rest of society accountable for your promiscuous activity, such as, let's say you contract an STD. I think you are responsible for telling people that, you have that. And I think that if somebody does have an STD, I don't think calling it STI changes anything. I think that's just trying to sugarcoat so we don't make them feel bad if they have an STD. But that's what it is. Sexually transmitted disease. Infection doesn't really change anything. It's still what it is. But, there's people out there that don't care. And that's fine. I don't care about that. I don't care if you don't care about contracting an STD. But I think that you should respect other people's will not to want to catch them. So if somebody says, no, I'm not going to sleep with you because you have an STD, don't take it so fucking personal. It's just that particular person doesn't want an STD. Not everybody wants that. I think that that's self-explanatory. I think it's stupid that I would even have to say that, but it seems like you do have to explain this to people, what my position is. So, I don't really go into kink shaming either. I don't really care if, you're into water sports, bondage, anonymous stuff. I don't, if you're a swinger, I don't care about any of these things. These are individual choices made by individual people, and I think they absolutely have the right to make those decisions. I'm not here to judge you for those things, and it's weird that people do that, in my opinion. So what do I mean when there are several a few, I guess, fetishes that I am against, and that would be bestiality. I don't see an animal being able to consent to sex. It's just vividly warped and twisted anyway. Does a lot of damage to the animal or the human being. At some point you have to recognize that a horse's penis is not meant to go into a human being. And at some point you have to realize that, a human penis isn't meant to go in a lot of different animals. And, I mean, there's also kind of weird, infectious things to think about in that. But, I mean, still, an animal is a living being, and you have no way of knowing if they're consenting to that or not. They can't do that. It seems kind of cruel and fucked up. Another one is necrophilia. That is a biohazard. And let's say that they're freshly dead. Well, that dead person still has loved ones. I'm sure that they don't want to think that the corpse of their belated loved one is being violated sexually. They're going through a grieving process that's a horrific thing to go through. Trust me, I've gone through it. The last thing you want to know is that the person that you loved and cared about that is now dead has been violated sexually by a mortician somewhere behind a closed door. That's fucked up. That's not what you want to hear, and you will be in no emotional position to make a logical response to that. It'll be purely emotional at that point. And let's say that they don't really have any friends or family and they're freshly dead. I don't really have an argument against that other than they still are a biohazard. There's a reason we bury the dead. There's a reason we burn them. There's a reason we keep them away from the general population. And then, of course, there's pedophilia. Pedophilia, I have absolutely no, there is no exception to that. I'm not one to call the police. I'm not a snitch or a narc, but that is one thing I will call the police about, is pedophilia. That is the destruction of somebody's life and psychological well-being. Those three things, no, absolutely not. And I made it abundantly clear that I'm not in favor of you deliberately giving somebody your STD. I've made that abundantly clear in the past. If somebody is a virus chaser, I don't understand why they would want to be, but if they are, that's not my concern. It's not my business. It's your body, your life. If you want to do that, go for it. Don't know why you would, but that's your choice. That is personal choice that affects you and you alone. Whatever. Then there's, ones that, I will judge. I'm not going to kink shame somebody for doing this. I'm not going to shame them, but I will judge you. And that would be things like scat. That's just fucking gross. That is my judgment. I'm not going to shame you. I'm not going to say, oh, no, you shouldn't do that, you horrible, vile, wretched person. I'll be like, that's disgusting. Hopefully you don't get toxic shock. But I don't want anything to do with it. Nothing to do with it. That's just fucking gross. And that's my opinion. And that's the way it'll stay. My opinion on that will not change. That's gross. So prostitution should be legal. We talk about the Me Too movement and stuff. It's really the same across the board. No matter what you do, sex should always be consensual. Period. No matter what you're doing, should be consensual. So, when it comes to, flirtation and stuff like that, I think that that's kind of hot in and of itself. And it's nobody's really going to know that you're into them or interested in them without flirtation. So I think flirtation is kind of necessary. There's like forms of over the top. Don't touch somebody unless you have permission to touch them. Again, this has to do with personal, individual, like space, and is it your liberties, rights, and everything ends when they infringe on other people. So it's like you can't touch somebody without their permission, obviously. But I don't feel like it's my business to go and say, well, if you're doing, like, I'm particularly not into this, but like, let's say like somebody's having a mass orgy next door. Now, because I'm not into it, I don't feel like it's any of my business to go over there and say, you're exploiting women, you're doing this, that, and the other. And that's not my place. I just don't have to participate in them. It's as simple as that. Voyeurism, I don't know what the big deal about voyeurism is. Like, I mean, honestly, like if I didn't know somebody was watching me and then I found out that they were watching me, I mean, I guess it'd be no big deal, because it's like, well, it didn't affect me in any way. Now, if they're like on my property and going through my stuff, that's a problem that will be rectified. But I mean, even like I told myself, even like I'm an adult. I've exchanged dick pics and stuff like. I've received dick pics from people, and when I started doing this, I was like, well, if my YouTube channel ever did become big, which I doubt it will, but if it ever did, somebody might leak that, and I have to be comfortable with that. And I think it's funny when you see these elected officials like, oh, you bought a prostitute at one point, or you slept with a dude, or you had an affair and got a blow job, or any shit like that. I'm like, why try to cover it up? Why lie about it? Why be ashamed of it? Why not just come out and be like, yeah? So, like, yeah, I've exchanged dick pics. I'm not ashamed of that. Like, adults do that. Like, that's part of the whole thing of being sexually active in the modern age, being an adult, is that you might exchange pictures of your genitals with the person that you're... It might not even be like something that you may not even hook up with them. It may not even be like you're gonna get together. Like I've seen this with people like that live overseas. They're like they're basically modern age phone sex is now like highly interactive. It's visual. It's not just on the phone like oh, tell me what you're doing. Oh, I'm taking off my shirt and my pussy's just so wet. I mean, we've graduated from that too. We're on the webcams like, show me what you got. Like, my pussy is so wet. You want to see it? I mean, we can do that now. And this applies to like bisexuality, homosexuality, heterosexuality. So when we look at the Me Too movement, when they got Victorian pictures removed, and we're talking about guys like heterosexual men and their insecurity with having their butts played with, and all of this is just stupid to me, because it's like, who fucking cares? If they like having their butt played with and they like that kept behind closed doors, it's their fucking prerogative. If they have no shame and they wear it like on their sleeve, then who fucking cares? This is 2018. I think we would know about this stuff by now. It's weird that these things are becoming taboo again. That's fucked up. That's fucking weird. And these things are not new. They've been going on for centuries. You can go and look at Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, and there's depictions of guys playing with their anuses in there. I mean, we can go back centuries and find like aspects of anal sex. This isn't new. This has been around for centuries. People have always been curious about playing with their body parts and the weird perverted things that we come up with and doing things. I mean, this is not new. Marquis de Sade, I mean, come on. So we come to this day and age where it's like somebody dresses scantily, be they male or female, is irrelevant. The fact that someone would look at them in a sexually provocative way, it's like, well, yeah, you're dressed in a sexually provocative way. What did you think was going to happen? I mean, just because they look at you in a sexually, like, I don't care if people look at me, like, if they look at me and sexually fantasize about me as I'm walking somewhere, I don't give a fuck. I'm not like, oh, I was violated. It's like, that doesn't affect me in any way, nor does it affect you. Like heterosexual guys that freak out about homosexuals possibly staring at their ass and fantasizing about fucking them. There is a big difference between fantasizing about something and even vocalizing your fantasy, saying like, you're really hot, like you have a nice ass, and kind of fantasize about fucking you or being fucked by you or whatever. That doesn't hurt you in any way. Not a single way. Nothing about that will hurt you. So when you get into the touching without permission, that's when you've gone too far. If they made it specifically clear, like, you know, in my case, like if they're heterosexual and they're like, they don't go that way. Now for me to like say, I understand that you're heterosexual and you don't want me to do blah blah blah, but I have got to say, like, you have got a nice ass or a nice fucking bulge in your pants. That is a compliment. You know, I'm not going to rape anybody. Like, rape is a vicious act. That is imposing your will on someone else against their own will. Like I said, it should be consensual all the time. But fantasy, well, the contents of my mind are mine and mine alone. So I don't know that people should be freaked out about this stuff. Like, we're sexual beings, we're sexual creatures, it's part of life, it's normal. For people to freak out about it, it's a little fucking weird. Like, I think that you're the weird one for freaking out about it in the first place. Like, even the whole question, are traps gay? Who fucking cares if they're gay? Who fucking cares if it's gay or bisexual to sleep with somebody who's trans? Nobody fucking cares. So I think the fact that that question is out there, and I think the fact that trans people are triggered by that is fucking weird. That's fucking weird. I think you should trigger them back, being like, yeah, it's totally gay. What are you gonna do about it? You know, own it. Stop being so fucking weird about this stuff. I mean, seriously, fucking weird. Make it seem like we're not sexual beings. We're celestial beings. We have no sexual desires, urges, or cravings. Just none. I've never had the desire to touch my penis. No, I love touching my fucking penis. Every fucking guy touches their penis. Come on. And girls like to play with their holes. It's natural. What the fuck? And another thing, too, this whole heteronormative. So, I'm not ashamed or feel weird to admit in any way, shape, or form, heterosexuals are the norm. They are the norm. Homosexuals like myself only make up 10% of the fucking population. We're the minority. We're not the norm. We are the minority. Now, it's generally understood by most rational people in society that I have no more control over my sexuality than as a heterosexual person does. They don't choose to be heterosexual. You can't just go, oh, I'm tired of women. I'm going to go and date and fuck guys. No, that's not how it fucking works. You couldn't do that if you tried. You'd be flaccid city. I suppose women try that as well. It's not as obvious when they're turned on, but I mean, if you're not in it, you're not in it. I mean, what we understand is that sex is involuntary. It's not something you have control over, what you find attractive and what you don't find attractive. Even when it comes to me as a homosexual looking at different guys, I cannot control if I am sexually attracted to a guy or not. I have no control over that. So I think that's something we need to take into consideration when we keep calling people all these isms and phobes over weird bullshit. Just because somebody doesn't want to sleep with a trans person doesn't mean that they're transphobic. It means they're not attracted to it. There's nothing they can do about it. Not a goddamn thing. And I would agree that if somebody does sleep with somebody who's trans, we shouldn't shame them. Nobody should be shaming them for it. And I would say that somebody that would be bigoted probably would do that. Somebody who does that probably is xenophobic or some kind. And then the question is are they xenophobic enough to actually cause harm? Or is it just insulting unpopular opinion type thing? Like, I mean, really, honestly, do you give a fuck what they think? Why do you give a fuck what they think? Who cares? I certainly don't fucking care. I don't fucking care what some Christian zealot thinks about what the fact that I have anal sex with my boyfriend. Yeah, I don't fucking care what they think. And sit there and be like, oh, fucking gross little faggot putting his penis in someone else's ass or having somebody fuck him in his ass. That's fucking weird. I don't fucking care what they think. I don't fucking care that they think it's weird. I don't fucking care. But right now, the way that the laws and rules are is that they cannot inflict danger or harm upon me because they feel that way. That is their problem to reconcile with, not mine. You know, Steve Hews had a good stand-up skit about that. And mentioned it before, where he's like, he has friends that are homophobic. He's like not insane or anything. They're not out in the woods trying to kill gay people. They just don't like them. And, you know, he's talking to somebody and they said, well, they shouldn't be that way. He's like, well, but they are. That's kind of the way it is. You know, maybe if they cure some homosexual friends and they realize that stereotypes are stereotypes and they do not apply to all homosexual people, maybe they'll get over that. They can change their mind. It is a learned behavior, something that can change. This is dislike or phobia of it. Maybe they never will. But honestly, as long as they mean you no harm, what do you fucking care? So, I guess I just don't know what to say on it. Like, I'm honestly bewildered by this day and age, and like, you know, when the sex robots came out and everybody's like, oh my god, that's so degrading to women. Not really. It's just a really fancy sex toy. It's kind of awesome that I think they made those. That's actually kind of fucking cool. Like, people who are in monogamous relationships, they want to fulfill a fantasy or desire, you could have a sex robot. So that's kind of fucking cool, really. I don't know why you wouldn't be in support of that. Like, unless you are a puritanical, religious, Christo-fascist zealot. I can see no reason why you would dislike the idea of sex robots. They're not a living being. You can literally have a sex slave, and it's not hurting anybody. Weird fucking world that we live in, that, you know, those come out and everybody's like, oh my god, that's just inappropriate. No, it's fucking cool. It's phenomenal. This takes sex toys to a totally new fucking level. Takes masturbation to a whole new level. I also think it's weird that the way that I've seen some leftist media portrays, like, orgies and absolute, like, promiscuity as the norm. This is what everybody wants. And it's like, no. You have a hodgepodge of all kinds of different stuff in there, and you know, some people that have been promiscuous their whole life might run into somebody that they fall in love with and decide that they want to be monogamous with. These things happen. Some people engage in a monogamous relationship and decide that they want to fool around, and they have an open relationship, establish polyamory, or maybe engage in swinging. I don't know what the big deal about all this stuff is. To me, this is just enlightenment. This is in lieu of, you know, the 60s. That happened, free love. And it's like, to each their own, different strokes for different folks. Let it go. But it can't be that goddamn fucking simple, can it? Because you have all these people trying to project their vision of sexuality and how the world should work onto everyone else. And ultimately, pretty much about every subject, that's where it becomes a problem. It's like, the way that you envision the world should work and how people should interact with each other is not indicative of how everyone else in the world feels about it. So I think it's fine as long as it doesn't impose your, like, one's will on someone else's will against their own will. Then what's the fucking problem? So I wanted to do these videos, and there are some other subjects where it's like, you know, basically, like, I'm taking a more laid back approach to that. That's where I see a difference between, you know, the alt left and anti-authoritarian left, is that I don't presume that I have authority over other people to tell them what they can and cannot do. As long as it doesn't affect me directly, like I said, I mean, if somebody has, like, a sex video of me or something like that out there that I didn't put out there myself, like there's one on Pornhub or something like that that I didn't put out there, but they leaked out into the internet or something like that, or pictures. I'm not saying that will happen, but if it did, like, I don't fucking care. I hope you would, like, I think, like, it would be complimentary that people would want to watch that or see it. Like, that's a compliment to me. It doesn't mean that I want to engage with everyone that's viewed it. Shit, though, I feel like I should get paid, though, if that happens. It's like, don't porn stars make decent money? So, well, I wasn't really sure how to approach all of it, because I feel like there's a lot of aspects to it, but I think I got the foundation there correct. So when you watch videos of mine going through, like, the alt-left's sexual hang-ups, or even the right's sexual hang-ups, when I approach the issue as an anti-authoritarian leftist, this is kind of the foundational view that I am approaching it with, is that I really don't give a shit as long as it doesn't infringe on other people. And, I mean, honestly, like, if somebody's ogling over you, I don't consider that sexual harassment. I think that's something you can easily ignore. Like, there used to be a saying, take a picture will last you longer. It's, like, basically a way of acknowledging, I see that you're checking me out, I am not interested, and I don't give a shit that you're checking me out. Take a picture, you can take it home and masturbate to it if you like, but that's as close as you're going to fucking get. Basically saying, it'll never happen. Only in your mind. Because I can't control the contents of your mind. I cannot even presume to do that. So, that's where I come from. Anti-authoritarian. Leftist. And to me, that's ultimately what being liberal means. Is saying, fuck you, don't tell me what to do. Like, you can tell me not to look at your ass, not to look at the bulge in your pants, and not to go home and think about that when I touch myself. But the reality is if I'm gonna do that, I'm still gonna. I don't have to tell you anything. I don't have to tell you shit. So that's a weird concept to think that you have dominion over someone else's contents of their mind. That's insanity to me. That is insane to think that you can do that. But that's liberal for you, is I don't believe you can tell other people what they can and cannot do, and you certainly cannot tell me what I can or cannot do. Within reason. Obviously, we're not advocating for rape here, or anything like that. Definitely not advocating for that. But, I mean, if you're into rape fetishes, like, if you are consensually agreeing to a rape fetish, whatever, fine, fuck it, go for it. That's your thing. Go, do you. So, I feel like there's not enough voices out there. That there's plenty criticizing the alt-left. Not really talking about the opinions, what the alternative to the authoritarian left are. So, when I see all this stuff, I'm just like, I don't give a shit. If you want to shove a fucking fruits and vegetables up your ass, I don't fucking care. Or in your vagina, I don't fucking care. If you get a yeast infection, though, that's your fucking problem, not mine. Or if it gets stuck in your ass, that's your problem, not mine. Don't fucking care. Not judging you. I just don't fucking care. Suppose I'm a bit nihilistic. Imagine that. Someone who's goth is nihilistic. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you think I did a good job on this video, let me know, and maybe I'll spread off into other topics, talking from an anti-authoritarian leftist perspective on various topics. Let me know if you would like to see that. I'll continue doing this. Maybe I won't. We'll see how it goes. So, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell button, and with that, I'm out.